Genesis 27:3. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison. This was Isaac talking to his son Esau. Before Isaac was about to pass, he wanted to share his blessing with Esau over a meal of venison. Even as far back as the times of the Bible, venison has been important to the human race. So now, join me and my blue-collar team as we chase giant whitetails across the Midwest. Our goal is to make you a better hunter. I'm Ben Rising, and this is Whitetail Edge.
Thank you, God, Jesus Christ, for this amazing dream.
Yeah, baby.
I'm about to go lay my hands on probably the biggest buck I've ever shot.
I just spoke to the sheriff.
Yep, he's going down, sis.
It's a beautiful buck. I couldn't be more happy to take him back home to Indiana.
There he is. Oh my gosh. I just smoked a giant on a Black Widow mock scrape, baby. Yes.
Hi, and welcome to Whitetail Edge. I'm Ben Rising, and this week you're going to be following along with me as I'm bouncing around the woods in Illinois after some big deer. So this year for me, Illinois was a true grind. Some exciting things did happen for me in Illinois. I love Illinois. It's one of my favorite places to be. In fact, I love it so much, I ended up buying a farm there this past year, and I'm really excited about that. But I'm not going to be able to hunt that farm until this coming fall. So it starts out, we get out to Illinois early in the year, about August time. Start doing some stand prep, weed whipping trails, putting up Spartan cameras, making mock scrapes, things like that. Just typical deer prep on a farm that's out of state. This episode is about all the things that could have happened if you'd have done things different. So in this episode, I'm going to show you some of the mistakes I made that probably cost me a tag filled in Illinois this season.
It's October 5th. And I look like I'm tired. But anyways, I'm in Illinois. It's the first day of the red moon. Looking at the moon guide, it should be a good day. So, I've seen 2 bucks already, a couple does. Been sitting here since dark. It's just only been daylight now, about 20 minutes. Got 2 bucks behind me here on this CRP bank by this pond.
going back to where I'm hunting on this lease, you know, I've hunted this farm a few years. I called this farm the Nightwalker Farm. And these deer on this farm are usually really edgy. Like, they just don't walk a lot, and when they do walk, you just never know where they're going to be. But there's a few key spots that I have figured out on this farm. We have one spot we call the kill tree. And it's just a spot that every year the shooters walk by this spot. And it's just a neck down little funnel between a pasture, cow pasture, a creek, and then an upper crop field, whether it's beans or corn or whichever. But this bank just kind of slopes down to the creek and the pasture, crops up here, and the deer just walk this edge, and it kind of necks them down to about probably about an 80-yard swath right there. And this spot that we've hung this stand in is just, it's been an epic spot to sit. You might sit there for 3 days and never see a shooter. You might sit there one morning and see 5 different bucks all around you somewhere. So you just never know what you're going to get out here. But it's one of those epic spots that when the deer are on their feet and the big deer are on their feet, I just know it's a spot that if I get the right wind, I need to be there, because it connects 2 big bedding areas, and these bucks just cruise this stuff looking for these does, going back and forth from bedding area to bedding area. So in this exact spot where I call it the kill tree, you know, I'm setting up a Spartan camera, making a Black Widow mock scrape, and I start getting pictures of deer right away, you know. And I've got this really big deer on the farm. It's just a big old bruiser 8-point. He's actually a big 9. He's got a split brow, but just a heck of a big deer. You know, big body, older deer, big heavy rack. But there's just one other deer that's really something. He's a big typical 10, and he's special. I mean, he's just a big deer. And that's the deer I really want to shoot. And so I kind of got my sights set on this deer. I'm getting some Spartans set up out here. It's that time of year where the boys are going to start cruising a little bit more, so putting this camera on the edge of a field here where it transitions from cut beans to standing corn still. And I think that it's a good spot to catch a pretty good sized deer coming from the bedding hollow across into this cut corn, or this standing corn. They're going to cut this corn for too long, but this is just a good spot right here. Get some intel. I got some good trails coming here, so see what's kicking in here. So I got a mock scrape here with a vine, and gonna freshen it up. Got this Spartan Go cam running on it here. Just try to get some intel on this farm. Never hunted this farm before, so this is the whole process. Branch butter on the vine, Dominator in here in the dirt. Try to mimic a more mature deer. Maybe the mature buck that's in this area will start working the scrape a little more, checking it out. I don't normally wear gloves. I like smelling like buck piss. Lets everybody know who I really am. You cut me open, Black Widow's gonna come out of my veins. Okay. Got a huge scrape. Huge scrape right there that we're going to try to monitor down in this creek bottom. See what's going on. What we've got is an old clover plot out here. Old growed up plot that somebody hasn't mowed. This is our first time on this farm to try to hunt it at all. And that plot really needs mowed, but they're still feeding in it, I'm sure, through all the weeds, because it's still nice green clover. But this farm has been pressured to death, I can tell. There's a lot of stands, still old gun blinds. This farm needs a lot of work, needs a lot less pressure, but it's still got big deer hanging around it, I'm sure of it. So can't imagine what it'll turn into if we can treat it the way that we would treat it. But just trying to get a feel and look to see where good spots are to hang stands and catch deer doing things. So trying to get a feel for that. I think this little ridge right here, it's just like a little point that comes out. It's real thick on the edges where they cut timber in the past. And this trail leads right down to the valley into the bottom. But I think right in here you could get deer bedding on this hillside. They get up, come out to that green food source to feed in that clover and head to those cut beans, or whether it was corn or whatever it is. Everybody asks why I like Black Widow deer lures. Well, the proof is in the pudding.
So, my scrape's right here. First thing I'm gonna do, I wanna freshen this thing up to really get this deer paying attention anyway, so I'm gonna put this Black Widow on there. Yeah, baby. I just smoked a giant on a Black Widow mock scrape, baby.
So here it is, you know, it's October. I've had magical days on October 23rd, just let me tell you. I've killed a lot of big deer on the date of October 23rd. And when I start getting to that time frame of October, especially that 21st on to the end, I just have a lot of good luck seeing really big deer. They're starting to work their scrapes. They're starting to show their dominance. They're cruising their territories a little bit within their own territories. They're not like branching out, roaming, looking for hot does miles away. But they're walking in daylight on their own turf. So if you've got a really big deer located, a lot of times you can get the dupe on him in the daylight in his home turf area like this, going back to bed later, working scrapes earlier in the evening, going to food sources, sniffing does. And this is something where your Spartan cameras can help you, or, you know, making mock scrapes and monitoring those scrapes with cameras and knowing what those deer are doing. So here it is. It's October 23rd. It's the morning. Got some great things going for us. It's cool weather. The moon guide is saying it's the last day of the red moon. I need to be in the tree. I'm excited. You know, it's approaching November, and I've killed numerous big deer on October 23rd. So my anticipation is high that I'm going to see this typical buck out of the kill tree. So I'm headed to the funnel, and let's see if we can pull it off.
There's a buck out there. I can't tell which one it is. I can just tell it's got a big rack. I'll try to get a little bit closer. testament to the phase system. Having a deer that size come in downwind. He knows something isn't right, but he can't quite figure it out. But we'd had him killed, so phase did its job.
Well, you can see I got greedy. Old Ben decided that that deer just wasn't the deer I wanted to shoot. And I'm kicking myself to this day for not taking that bruiser. And I know I've got beat up on social media for it already this year. But I hate to say it, I've shot so many deer that size that I wanted that bigger deer. And again, I was being greedy. And I should have just been happy with that buck because he gave me every opportunity to shoot him. It was like a picture-perfect scenario. The trail that I trimmed in with the weed eater earlier that year, he walked right down it. Everything was perfect. I mean, and what I come to find out, truthfully, was that deer, because he was so big and mature, was actually keeping the other deer off the farm. I think truly in my head that that's what was going on. There was another big 8 that you can see some of the encounters with that we just didn't. That deer and this deer were more mature, and they were pushing this typical deer off the farm, and he just wasn't showing up. I made a mistake by passing this deer because, long story short, the big typical that I was trying to kill, and you can see the Spartan pictures of, what a great deer he was, he ended up getting gut shot by a neighbor. And so that put him on the down low for like 2 weeks. And I found this out while I was out in Kansas hunting, and we were going to come back to Illinois and try to get on him. But lo and behold, even though he got gut shot, he ended up still being alive. And I started getting his pictures again just a little bit, but he wasn't moving much at all. And, this is weeks had gone by at this point. Gun season was approaching. And long story short, he ended up getting shot by another neighbor during gun season. So this deer was completely out of the picture.
It's our last day to hunt pretty much in Illinois for a little while, so we're hoping one of these big boys make an appearance in here. Got some snow this morning. It's a beautiful morning. I'm really excited about it. I've always had really good big buck pictures in this spot. And both the deer that I'm chasing in here have been in here in their past. Not this year yet, but in the past of their lives, when the rut comes around, they come through here. So we got high hopes. Is it a shooter? Where did he go? Up the draw. Did he even hear me? Yeah. He made a scrape. Was it an 8 with short? Yep. He was at the kill stand earlier. you saw when it was snowing, the wind or the snow was blowing out the trees, but the wind was pounding him right in the face, and we beat his nose. Just goes to show you absolutely how, if you use the phase properly, keep yourself clean, you can beat them. Not always, but a lot of times. And that deer should have definitely picked us up, but he didn't. That's how I feel thinking about these deer. Over here, over here, over here. It's making me feel kind of like I don't know what I'm doing. I soon come to figure out, though, that this time of year, and again, we're here so much earlier than I want to be because of the whole COVID junk. Because I didn't want to get locked down in my home state, so we left earlier than we normally would. And we're battling. I think the October lull hit more towards the end of October for me. I killed my buck in Ohio already, but out here in Illinois, it's been a grind. I passed a really good deer, like the second sit, and that's biting me in the butt, but that's just not the deer I wanted to shoot. I got 2 deer here that I'm after. I'm getting pictures of the one finally. Again, I don't think he's been on the farm for the last 4 days. Now he's back, so I think we got a chance. You know, we are literally within 60 yards of where a booner stood this morning and peed in a black widow muck scrape that I made back in early October. It's just nice to know that we're in his grill. We just got to get in his lungs.
Feel the cold wind on my face. It's all around but leaves no trace. This is where I wanna be. I'm skipping stones into the sea. I'll give you some lone time. I need to go catch a high tide, 'cause I don't feel free. So I'm letting you know where I want to be. Driving by the shore, listening to a broken radio. Skyline neon lights are waking up the rangers of the night. Designated life, driving by the shore. Skyline neon lights. Designated life.
So again, October 23rd and the Killing Tree produced an opportunity at a big mature deer, and I didn't take the opportunity. But let's just go back in time just a little bit here, out of the same tree, because when I'm talking about killing trees, I just want to show you a hunt here quick, if you haven't seen this one before, of the same tree, same situation, with a really big deer I was after that year. We called him the Big Ten. He was an awesome old buck, and we were grinding it out trying to kill this deer. And finally, after a trip back from Iowa, after coming off killing a really good deer in Iowa, in fact, this deer right here, 180-inch deer, we come back from Iowa, we're in the stand first afternoon, and we thumped this big boy that we were trying to get on for a week before. So we just got to Illinois today from Iowa. We just drove 4 hours and got here. It's 11:15. And before I'd left, I'd snuck down in this hole down here and I'd stuck a camera on this trail, and I was really frustrated with these bucks on this farm. I just wasn't getting their pictures in daylight at all, and I'm like, there's got to be somewhere that they'll move in daylight. And so I snuck down there with a Spartan camera, but I didn't have I had a non-cellular camera, and I stuck it down in there. So I just went down in there to check the card, and both the shooter bucks that are here that we had been getting recently are on that card in daylight, but only one day on the 31st. You can see one's right here. Big old brown-headed, just a big old 10-point with a split brow. Really good deer. I mean, he's not a 180 deer, but he's a good deer. And that's him there. And then here's the wide one. So I don't know if that day they were both down in there. I don't know. You don't have a good picture of that one, but he can tell he's rutting. That deer's real wide. But this is the deer we'd really like to shoot right here, this one. I just was sitting there, and I actually, no lie, I actually was praying a little bit. I was just kind of thanking God for the time. I was asking him to be with my wife and just thanking him for, all the blessings that we'd had on this trip, even though it was tough. And then he'd rewarded us with 2 great deer. And I just said, God, I said, I know that, I'm not trying to be bold or ask too much. I said, but, I really want to go home. I'm missing my family. I want to go back. I want to see my kids. I want to see my wife because she's been to the doctor a few times. And, I just need to be home. And I said, if you just help me out here and pull some strings, I'd greatly appreciate it so I can get back on the road and get home to see my family. And I said, if not, no big deal. We're going to go back in 2 days anyways, and it is what it is. It wasn't probably 15 minutes after I just got done talking to God and praying, and all of a sudden, Tanner just starts flipping out. And he's like, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here.
Can I stand up? Man. Oh my gosh, that's him. Dude. My God is like, me and him were just sitting here having a conversation. I'm just telling you, you cannot outgive God, brother. Oh my, I gotta sit down. Oh Lord. What did I tell you, Tanner? This was the spot. We're just sitting here. I literally was on, I was kind of just chilling. And we've been sitting here for 2 hours already. And it just started raining. And Tanner's like, Ben. And I'm like, I look back and he's like, shoot it right here. So I don't know if we're both just kind of dozing. We're wore out. We're tired. And here he is, right here. Mega buck, mega 10. I just thank you, Lord. That's all I can say. Thanks to all our sponsors and family for allowing us to do this and be out here. Unfortunately, we got to go back to work next week, but that's just life. Everybody thinks we do this for a living, but we don't. We take off work to do this and to try to bring this show to you guys. And how awesome. It's just, I don't know. We sat there and contemplated on which stand to sit. And I told Tanner at the very last minute, I said, you know what? Going through the pictures and doing everything that the Spartan was telling us, I said, I think that deer is going to be here tonight. I didn't know if he would come from that way, but I just had a feeling this was where he was going to be. Oh my gosh, 2 bucks in 2 days. And that deer's bigger than we think, isn't he? That deer could be a booner. I could have killed just 2 booners in 2 days. I don't know for sure, but holy smokes. And I'll guarantee you he didn't go far. Let's get this sucker. Oh yeah, baby. Look at that hole. Oh. What do you say, big boy? Oh my gosh.
This was the deer that we've encountered once at dark. I don't even, man, does he smell like rut. Goodness. He definitely was rutting today. He was starting to walk. I mean, finally, pictures were showing it. But this was the deer we drove here to get from Iowa on our way home, and we did it. I'm floored. Thanks, Mom. That's all I can say. And the good Lord. I mean, we all know my mom passed away, and we're dedicating this whole season to her. And man, am I starting to have a season all of a sudden. Killed a 170-inch deer yesterday with 10 inches broke off, so basically a 180. I don't know what this deer's going to score. I mean, he's, but I don't care. I mean, this is a mature, big deer, and I killed it off one of the toughest farms I've ever hunted. I'm just stickled to death. I mean, it's so stressful trying to do a show like this. It really is. I mean, because you got to produce. Your sponsors are dependent on you to come up with content. And, I've got 3 kills now. I still got an Ohio tag. And so thankful that I was able to get this deer. So as you can see, sometimes you find those special trees and you just can't get away from them because they're just producers. But the key is access, knowing when to hunt these spots. We walk in a long ways to get to this stand when we hunt this kill tree. It's a special spot. It takes a little time to get there, but we dress light, we get in, we get up early, we get set up, and we pretty much sit it all day when you're in a spot like this because you don't want to ruin the spot. But I run a Spartan camera there almost year round, and it's just amazing the different kind of animals that roam through this spot from, early October, summer, late summer, all the way into early fall to late October into the winter time. It's just a natural place for these deer to walk. And so everybody's probably got one of those special spots that they call kind of like a go-to spot, and they just have a special place in our hearts.
Oh my gosh, that's him. Dude.
And sometimes we get certain deer in our craw and we just, we think we can do it, and it doesn't happen. Sometimes things just aren't meant to be. And this wraps up the show for Whitetail Edge on this episode. Thanks for watching Whitetail Edge. Follow along right here next week as we bring you another great episode.